There are two things, Divyesh. One is like the faith. It's his wish, which is true. But there is also an effort part of it. Like whether understanding, acknowledging that there is the wish of the Almighty, true. But at the same time, but the effort is also important, which is basically your karma. Like karmeshu badigarasya ma phaleshu kadachana. But at the same time, that karma is important. Results, of course, is at the end of the day. It's same for cancer journey. It's same for a research paper. It's same for starting a company. It's same for any journey in life. At the end of the day, the entire human civilization is all because of that effort. There were nights and all where we had sleepless nights. There were sleepless nights. Sometimes the test results did not come as we expect. We always call this, the tamoso ma jyotirgamaya. It's from the darkness to light.
क्या कहते हो मेरे लिसनर्स? कभी कभी आपको नहीं लगता ये लाइफ जो है ना एक पिकनिक है? हम अलग अलग जगह जाते हैं, नए नए प्लेसेस एक्सप्लोर करते हैं. वैसे ही हम जिंदगी में भी हम नए नए रोल्स निभाते हैं. जैसे पिकनिक में कोई जगह पसंद नहीं आती तो कोई और जगह चले जाते हैं. खाना पसंद नहीं आया तो कोई और रेस्टोरेंट का डिश ट्राई कर लेते हैं. वैसे ही शायद ज़िंदगी में कभी कोई जॉब या कभी कोई लोग मिल जाते हैं. शायद हमको वो फेस ज़िंदगी का पसंद नहीं आता. क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, आगे बढ़ जाएंगे. जैसे पिकनिक में आगे चलते रहते हैं ना, अपनी बस या कार आगे तो लेके ही चलती है. ऐसा ही कुछ हुआ था मेरे गेस्ट के साथ, जिसका नाम है अमृतेंदु मुखर्जी. इन्फोसिस में जॉब करते हैं कंसल्टेंट के दौर पे. वो कहते हैं दिव्येश मुझे यही फेज़ ना पसंद नहीं आया था मेरे लाइफ का. वो फिर बन जाते हैं रिसर्चर. और हाँ, वो खुद को भी कहते हैं कि दिव्येश मुझे कहना है तो रिसर्चर बोलना. अमृतेंदु, जिनको मैं प्यार से अमृत कहता हूँ, वो 8 साल कॉरपोरेट करियर में रहते हैं. मास्टर्स करते हैं IIT खड़गपुर से, PhD करते हैं IISC बैंगलोर से. उनका एरिया ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है स्टैटिस्टिकल लर्निंग थियरी, प्रोबेबिलिटी, AI, मशीन लर्निंग, कंप्यूटर विजन, इमेज प्रोसेसिंग. अरे भाई, लिस्ट बहुत लंबा है. वो गेस्ट फैकल्टी भी है IIM कोझिकोडे एंड IISC बैंगलोर में. और हाँ, खास बात, ही इज़ अ को फाउंडर ऑफ कंपनी कॉल्ड Neuropixel.AI. ही इज़ वर्किंग विथ हिज को फाउंडर अरविंद नायर. एंड वहाँ पे भी तो वो अपने कंसेप्ट AI, मशीन लर्निंग, कंप्यूटर विजन अप्लाई करते हैं टू रीडिफाइन फैशन ई-कॉमर्स. रिसेंटली उन्होंने 3 पैटेंट भी फाइल कर चुके हैं. और हाँ, रिसेंटली फ्लिपकार्ट ने भी इन्वेस्ट किया है. अब मैं क्या कहूँ ये गेस्ट के बारे में. और हाँ, लास्ट चीज़, इनको जब वो PhD कर रहे थे तब उनको ब्लड कैंसर भी था. बट हम पूरी बातें सुनते हैं, और भी काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं. वी विल टॉक हाउ ही फाउंड हिज ओन पर्पस. क्या वो चाहते थे, वॉट वॉज हिज लव इन लाइफ. चलोगे? वेलकम टू द शो जज्बा. लेट मी फर्स्ट get your opinion, my dear listeners, on this question. Do you feel that sometime even it takes time to find what we do not love? I guess this is the first step to find what we love. Just first find out that what you do not love. Let's hear from Amrit words that why he switched to research background.
I mean, we always ask this question. So every morning we get up, we ask yourself, like, whether I'm happy. So now, how do we define happiness, right? And the one way of defining is to achieving childhood dreams. For me, happiness is primarily to do things that is important to you, to be able to do things that is important to you, to be able to do things which you feel is your priority, or you feel like it's more close to your heart. And so at that point, I was very sure that I'm not going to become a great consultant. And we need to do that, right? Because if you do not enjoy something, and you don't expect to be to excel there, it's not fair from yourself.
Right.
So yeah, and that's all. That's how it started. Fortunately, I always enjoyed math, so that helped. That helped. But never been a great programmer and all. Very average. Below average.
So basically, you were already very much sure that this is not the path which I'm going to enjoy, the consultant path. What I mean.
Yes.
So you thought, what else I can do? But then.
Not what else. Otherwise, also I wanted to do research. That was also more or less.
Oh,
it was
you
there.
always were determined. I see.
It will happen someday or the other. So yeah. And that actually helped me to be sure, right? Because whenever you come to research or any academics, you leave that corporate job. To be honest, there is also certain level of social security that you have to leave. You don't.
Yes.
You have to survive on the scholarship, which is significantly small than the kind of the
corporate
compensation, corporate compensation. Again, that question is like, what makes you happy?
So, my dear listeners, what makes you happy? Pause leke sochna.
I mean, I was free, so yeah, that was also kind of helpful for me. Yeah.
Got it. So were you not married or like on EMI ka chakkar?
I was. I was. But my wife was also, both me and my wife, we decided that we'd go for PhD. So my wife was working with me at Lexmark. She did her master's. She was my batchmate at engineering at IISC Shivpur. So she did her master's from IISC Bangalore only.
Right.
Then moved to Calcutta. So we were both at Lexmark. So we decided, let's go for PhD. Let's that's what we want. Our decision was where we will go to some Indian institutes or abroad. Myself is a product of that. So we decided to do that. Or also there was a personal reason. I'm also the only child of my parents. So
I see.
Always wanted to be in India.
Got it.
It's not a question of easy or hard, Divyesh. It's a question of choice, again, to me, right? If it's your choice, if this is what you want to do, of course, to get into IISC, to kind of get qualified in the, to be accepted in the IISC as a researcher and all, of course, there are
very tough journey.
Some amount of, not very tough, but some amount of study has to be done. Those are prerequisite. And as I said, I always enjoy math, so that helped me.
So you started your IISC journey in 2014. So after you finish your PwC, PwC or rather Lexmark, right? Lexmark.
Yes, yeah. Lexmark. PwC I finished earlier. Yeah.
And then you thought, let me move back to India, and then you are starting with your PhD course in 2014, and that's where cancer journey, unfortunately cancer event happened in your. So was it
not unfortunately? It's just a great learning also. What you see me, maybe what it has contributed, no? What the way, I think that's one of the reasons we are having this discussion.
Of course, yes. I look after that's who is cancer survivor and what that person is doing, and I can see cancer survivor to founder to problem solver. That's what I can see in you. So then when you started PhD, now I'm trying to link back what you were telling some time back. You were doing your PhD course, but then you detected with cancer. So do you know what was that kind of is it like very rare or life-threatening kind of cancer was there?
Yeah. All cancers are, right? So I tell you in details also, just for the and just to get the idea and maybe for the bigger audience there.
Oh yes.
I went to Japan in a students exchange program in 2015. I went in the University of Toyohashi, and I came back to spend the new year with my family. With my wife, because
right.
she was also at campus only, doing her PhD that time. And then, of course, I was not feeling well, so I had those tests and all. And I was diagnosed with stage 4 composite lymphoma. So composite lymphoma is basically, there are two parts of it. So I think 25% was follicular lymphoma and 75% was DLBCL or otherwise, forgot. So I still remember I was treated at IISC I went to my doctor that time. It was the first time only. So Dr. Girish V. Badarke, who became later an elder brother to me. I'll talk about him. We did lot of work. Later we still do. Anyways, he's an amazing person. He has a huge influence in me. I have learned so many things from him. So he told me that before the treatment started, I still remember, it's like 60-40. So basically 60% chance that the treatment should work. And if it works, you are good. But there is a 40% chance that the chemo might not work. And if it does not work, we really do not know. So...
I see. Was it like blood cancer?
Yeah, it was blood cancer. It is a blood cancer. Now blood can be... Yeah, so now blood cancer can be leukemia, lymphoma. Okay. Mine was lymphoma. Yeah, it comes under blood. So it's in the lymph nodes actually, which is in the part of the blood system. After that, I had a very aggressive treatment. That's what I had a group of doctors. Dr. Girish V. Badarke was then there was other doctors as well. I had a very aggressive treatment. Which was rituximab, R-CHOP 14 they call. Like 14 days I had to have this one rituximab for 8 kind of consecutive cycles, and then once in 3 months, which they call a consolidation. So that went for 6 more. So total 14. Now because of
40
this
chemo sessions, I mean this is
1-4.
Okay, 14 chemo sessions.
1-4,
okay, got
14
it.
chemo sessions. So 8 was very aggressive, like in 2 weeks gap. The one problem of the chemotherapy and those days, so all these immunotherapies and all was just coming. It was not there yet, or even it was very expensive. So it is not very kind of generalized drugs. I mean, now it is slightly better, or because it was generalized, so it has a huge side effect. So I had what you call is acute neutropenia. So what is primarily means that your immunity kind of becomes very low, like very, very low. Like, I mean, you catch everything. I had very life-threatening infections, primarily bacterial and fungal infections. So life-threatening. I had Fortunately, so there are 2 parts. Fortunately, chemo worked and all, so that was good, but long period, like 6 months, and could not eat properly, could not these things and all, had the rice tube and all those things, right? You lose your weight like anything.
Right.
But my family and my doctors, my professors, my friend, they were there with me. They were rock. Of course, my wife. You know the bond at the most difficult time of your life.
Of course. Of course, it's very tough time, especially with your close members, right? With your wife.
Yes.
Because you might be having very different mood swings, or I don't know, you will be totally broken, right? And then wife is the one who listens to you.
Yeah. I was not broken, but that, again, I've been slightly blessed in that way. I always say myself, I'm very hopelessly hopeful.
Awesome.
I'm very hopelessly hopeful. So it's just like, so I mean, I learned many things actually. I learned to manage my finance because it was significantly expensive, the treatment. I had to do a lot of things. I had to apply for students concession. IISC has been amazing, but because IISC, there is a students emergency fund grant, but for that I have to do all the correspondence and all. It was always reimbursement. So all this, like, manage the finances, manage your basically treatment and all. So that was one thing. I have to manage my project also in terms of papers and all, because anyway that was going on, right? I have to publish.
Right.
I have my coursework. I have to write the exams and all. My professors has been amazing. I mean, I have learned what I am. If there is anything good thing, if you see me, is because of my professors.
जस्ट आपको याद करा दूं, ये वो फेस की बात है जब अमृत PhD कर रहे थे. सो ही यूज्ड टू जगल मैनी थिंग्स. शायद ये बात रिकॉर्ड नहीं हो पाई है उनकी आवाज़ में, बट वो मुझे बताते हैं, दिव्येश, मेरी जब कैंसर की ट्रीटमेंट चल रही थी ना, मैं बेड में बैठे बैठे हॉस्पिटल में मेरे PhD के प्रोजेक्ट्स में काम करता था. look at his passion. आगे चलते हैं.
Ground floor to second floor, I had to use a lift. All these treatments and all gone 14 these things and all, and slowly I recovered again by the grace, by the blessings of Almighty.
Your wife was also doing PhD on those days when you were going through the treatment. So she was also doing PhD. You were also
Yes.
doing PhD.
Correct.
In between this, your chemo sessions were scheduled. You had very low immunity. So all these things were happening together.
There's a high chance that I could
Yeah,
I could not make it. Yeah, there's a high chance I could not make
right.
it. There was moments, of course, which I thought that
Do you recall any specific story with your family or wife? Like, if you recall those moments, I know
yeah, there are so many actually. There are so many. We always used to talk because we are batchmates, right? We are friends first, then husbands
yes.
and wife. I mean, we were there for each other. So we used to talk, and we are both scientists also. So we used to have this fun that we used to read more bio papers to understand it.
Again, you
We
started
understand
PhD in the same for the cancer. Oh wow!
Not really, but I mean, try to understand from a data science perspective. So we used to
Wow.
make this fun, like we read more bio papers, and later actually I collaborated on a couple of works with my doctor. Those papers need to be published yet because he is busy, but I did the math part of it, and interestingly, one of the data points is myself. So I worked on my own data.
Wow.
Yeah. So correct. So we used to think we both are like, I do not know, maybe we were engineer first or our mental structure is something that sort, that we never, and we understand the limitations of the data also. So we never thought like this thing. We always look for like what are the options and all. And one thing that my doctor also kind of, because he was primarily at that level, a very senior DM and all, so he was like, they are all researchers, right? So they, like, one thing which he always, and he discussed a lot with us, because maybe, I mean, we had that science connect, right? So
Right.
he made us understand the limitations of the knowledge base. So also that's a limitation, but that also is the hope. So because you do not know, you can see it both ways. You can see that, okay, you do not know, that means there are things that can work which you do not know, or you do not know, then that also, it depends on your mental structure, right? So we were like, again, hopelessly hopeful. So you always used to think that this might work, that might work.
This was my one of the key learning with Amrit. In this adverse situation, this guy still finds his love for maths. He considers himself as one of the data point, and again starts his data science, machine learning. He applies those theories to his own example, and he works with the doctor on the research. You will hear. Just stay on this episode. We will talk about his research as well, like what he was working on in this adverse situation. What do you think? In adverse situation, can you think, or can you still stay on your own passion, what you like to do? It really helps sometime.
There are two things, Divyesh. One is like the faith, which says that at the end of the day, it's not in your this thing. It's at the end of the day, it's his wish, which is true. But there is also an effort part of it, like whether understanding, acknowledging that there is the wish of the Almighty, true. But at the same time, but the effort is also important, right? Which is basically your karma. Like karmeshu vadigarasya ma phaleshu kadachana, but at the same time that karma is important. I mean, results of course is at the end of the day. It's same for cancer journey, it's same for a research paper, it's same for starting a company, it's same for any journey in life. At the end of the day, the entire human civilization is all because of that effort.
Agree.
There were nights and all where we had sleepless nights. There were sleepless nights. Sometimes the test results did not come as we expect. We were worried. We always call this, the tamasoma jyotirgamaya. It's from the darkness to light. If you, in that darkness only, and I don't know whether, of course you know, because we are Bengalis, we worship the goddess Kali. It's
Yes.
it's
Like
my
Ma
family
Durga,
goddess
right?
also.
Yes.
Ma Durga and Ma Kali. So it's a very different form of goddess, right? In the darkness only you get that light. There is a very beautiful song. It basically says in Bengali, but I try to translate it for you. It says that your beauty or your light is only visible in the darkness.
Wow.
If you do not have gone through it, maybe I would not have been the same person which I am today. Yeah.
Right. To see the light, you have to pass through the tunnel. I mean, you are
Yes.
right. You are exactly saying the same. But just for curiosity, I mean, Amritendu, because my last guest, he was cancer warrior like you. And before I touch base, before I move to research topic, because I have curiosity on research mindset as well. But before I go
Of
there,
course. Yes.
when you mentioned you had 14 chemo sessions, so
Yeah.
I don't know that the chemo session, is it like painful or it's impact after chemo session you
Yeah.
come, then it's a impact. I just want to
Yes.
understand when you say sleepless nights, right? So I just trying to understand what it
No.
feels.
Those sleepless nights are primarily on the oddies and all. It basically questions your survival, right? Because to be very honest, very this thing and all, because you do not know when you go through the treatment, and of course after that also in a significant amount of time, you do not know how the treatment is going to perform, and you don't have control about the test results. It's very difficult, kind of different, right? It's like you study for an exam, you write the exam, and you have some idea how is it going to do, but you don't have any idea how your body is going to respond to the medicine. So that's that part. And of course there are that you do not like as a researcher. You always look for explainability, but you understand this is an infinite dimensional problem, and it's very difficult to have explainability. My doctor once told me this thing, and because I mean it's very difficult to understand why chemo works and how does it work. But we just want to know whether it works or not. If it works, we are happy, because at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that the patient get cured.
Of course.
Right? So that's one school of thought. Regarding the chemo, yes. So treatment is not painful. There are parts where it's very painful. I'll come to that.
Got it.
But the side effects are very painful. The side effects are very, very painful. It could be very, very painful, because what happens, you get all those, your immunity gets this thing, and you get all type of diseases. That's one part, because you lose your weight, you lose your hair, all those things happen, right? But those are fine. Right. Those are like on the outside and all. But what happens is, at the end of the day, it's a radioactive particles, right?
Oh yes.
Which is very foreign and all, which is killing the cancer cells, but at the same time it is killing many other cells as well. So that is like that primarily kind of. Now we are having a lot of targeted drugs and all, which is amazing. So that's one part. Treatment wise, yes, there are many things, like you do many scans happens, many biopsy happens during the process also, because to understand the effectiveness of the treatment. So one of the biopsy which has been very painful for me, for every patient, is called bone marrow biopsy. So because it's a blood cancer, they inject a very kind of this thing in your bone marrow, and then take the marrow and then see is there any ideally there should not be any presence of
my God,
kind of
they will pierce through the bone level, and then they will check.
Yeah, they'll basically kind of get it. So that was like kind of painful procedure. There are some others. I had some couple of things to understand whether that infection is not affected my spinal cord. So there was some spinal fluid extraction also. They are all painful process, yes. But that's okay. That's a part of the journey. It's okay. At the end of the day, all you want, the treatment should work.
ये अमृत कहता है, दिव्येश, इट इज़ जस्ट अ पार्ट ऑफ अ प्रोसेस. ये सीटी स्कैन, ये टेस्ट होना, बोन मैरो टेस्ट होना, कभी कभी नहीं लगता है एटीट्यूड इज़ एवरीथिंग. सुनने में तो बहुत अच्छी लाइन लगती है, बट दिस माई गेस्ट, ही इज़ रियल एक्सपीरियंस वो बताता है, बिकॉज ही वॉज ऑलवेज फोकस्ड ऑन हीज एंड रिजल्ट, वॉट ही वॉन्ट टू डू. वो हमेशा उसी पे ही ध्यान रखता था. उस वक्त पे भी ये PhD कर रहे थे, अपनी हॉस्पिटल में बैठे बैठे वो थेसिस पे काम करते थे. So hats off to this guy. आगे सुनते हैं. So your PhD, it started from 2014, and then when you were like, cured, I mean, your cancer and PhD both were together. So I'm just trying to think, I will say cancer is your friend. Let me put it that way, right? Because that's where it shaped you. You and your wife, you yourself were data point. I really like that, right? That again, you had that research mindset. Even in your cancer journey, well, okay, what's happening? These are my test results. What are the features? What are the data points?
That was, so that was interesting story. So my doctor, they were working with, of course, lot of these patients' data and all. So one part so there is something called PIC line insertion. So what they do is basically they insert a permanent kind of this thing in your vein, so that because you go through this continuous chemo and so many drugs, so many things, you have to go through this for a long time, right? At least from 6 months to a year. So they basically set up a PIC line, which is basically stay with your arm or wherever they inject it.
Okay, it's like fixed setup where they can inject the medicines.
Where they can inject, they can get the blood, all those things, right? So that patient does not need to go through all the time because he has to go through, right? So many tests will be there, so many things will be there. Right. Now, for this PIC line also has certain side effects sometimes, right? So we studied two things broadly. We studied a basically intergroup study. We tried to understand how these PIC line, these things affect, or how these things, over a period of time between male and female, and between hemato and non-hemato. So basically we call blood and solid cancer, and then between male and female, gender-wise. Yeah, that was the study. So I did the stat part of it. I think paper is still not published. Because my daughter is very busy. So yeah.
I'm always committed, my dear listeners, to bring such real, inspiring stories. Just join Jasba WhatsApp group if you want to support me on my own podcast journey. Just join kar lo. WhatsApp link in this episode description. Thank you. So your research was about how it can cause infections.
Not my research, to be very honest. I don't understand the bio. I am not qualified to comment on because bio is an incredibly hard problem.
Of course.
I just did the
data points
part of it.
Statistics
part.
Stats part. With
it.
Male
basically,
and female
and hemato and non-hemato. That was a small work, but yeah. Interestingly, because I myself was one of the data point.
right. But I'm thinking.
Give you this thing that you see yourself from a distance.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking, right? Because imagine you yourself are going through journey, but there are two things, Amritendu, right? Why I'm taking pause on this, your phase. See, two things. When I had, or when someone had fever or very, very severe fever, someone gets into TB or very, very, very bad infection, people will first question come, why me? Of course, it's very natural. Maybe you might had that, but you had another mindset as well. Okay, why? Let's try to mix up your AI ML, your own learning with this one. That's what I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what can be done. We do not. So there is two part, right? Why this happened is a very hard problem.
Very hard, we don't know.
We do not know really. Right? If we know, then it will be great. Yeah, correct. So we do not know, and let's if it is not the case, so let's see what we can do. Right? I think that's a very scientific attitude.
Right. It's like falling from the mountain, very good trek, and you got very badly hurt. But then you will try to identify again, going back to the mountain, identifying the steps with a research mindset that, okay, maybe this kind of dust or this kind of land or minerals which made me fall. So you got it. So
in this line, just want to, because right now this helps me to understand at least the problems broadly, right? Again, not the core bio part, because I'm not trained. I'm an engineer by training, right? But definitely not a biologist. and definitely not a cancer biologist. But this helped me to understand the problem at a broader level, and which helped that I am also served as a advisor to a cancer research firm called Supla Oncology, which is founded by, and i3 Digital Health, both are same actually, which is founded by Srinivasan, who have been global MD of Pfizer, a wonderful person.
As a third person, I really like it. Because see, if you had not cancer, you may not be serving advisor to Supra Oncology as well, right? So you really went into there, and that's why where you are running your own company, right? Neuropixel, where again you are there in AIML. So it's very, very different founder profile. See, normal the founder profile will come into like someone maybe who might have touched the problem, but you yourself had experienced that problem. You yourself were as a data point. I mean, you just attack this from your statistical or AIML background, and which is what making you continued journey in your Neuropixel as well, where you are again trying to bring revolution into fashion e-commerce. So that's whole itself,
fun.
if I try to connect the dots, it's very different.
That's fun actually. That's more of Arvind actually, to be very honest. He's my co-founder Arvind. He's a wonderful boy.
I see.
And with a lion heart. During all these things, right, when I completed my Ph.D. and all those things, and the journey of the last part. So I was with Intel, of course. I was with Intel Havana Labs, primarily working on the statistical convergence, comparison of statistical convergence with HPUs, with GPUs, etc. Now, but that time I was slightly, to be very honest, I was courageous. Again, that part always kind of is there with me, whether I always keep on asking myself whether if this is what I want. So I was thinking to kind of do something. So then met Arvind. Any partnership, right, that chemistry is the most important part.
Right.
It's
so
not
you
that
met Arvind where? Sorry, go ahead.
In entrepreneurs first. So we both applied as individuals, and then we try to find the co-founders. We are different people, right? Arvind comes from a business background. Of course, he also spent in consulting, did not like it. He was with EY and KPMG earlier. But then post his MBA from IISC, he moved to fashion e-commerce. He was with Decathlon and then with Myntra in growth and strategy.
Awesome.
We are different person, because I was like as far as possible from fashion. Right. Correct. But we connected at the fundamental values, then which we still are. Like our fundamental values are very, very same, and we enjoy kind of discussing, fighting with each other, which is very, very important, right? So and we actually almost like we disagree on everything, but at the end of the day, maybe I have more trust in Arvind than on myself.
Wow.
So we started looking on the problem where we can work on, because I come from AIML, a little bit of computer vision, image processing, and Arvind comes from fashion e-commerce, and we were interested to start working on the generative model. Now I'm talking about generative AI in 2020. Right.
Wow, which is now booming, which is now people are talking. You were already started in 2020 in that game, generative AI.
2021, because that's what we are, right? And that's what we have been building our foundational models and all, right? So it took us long time, but again, as I mentioned, we have been very fortunate to have the backers and all. And now, of course, we have kind of these things and all. We have slight advantages also as early movers. So that was our hypothesis, that we'll work on this, and we'll work on deep tech, primarily focusing on building core IPs from India for the globe, right? We are very much, so that was the broad idea.
But then what was the problem, Amritendu? I mean, I understood you I mean, Arvind coming from Decathlon, Myntra, all those. But then before I go to the problem statement, when you and Arvind met, so you both met, and entrepreneurs first meet, right?
Entrepreneurs first, yeah.
So you both were not knowing each other at all.
Yeah,
so
true.
So he came for his own idea, with his own some business idea to propose. You came with your own. So you had already something that you want to start something. He also wanted to start something, but you both were not connected. Then you met there, and then you came up.
Exactly.
Okay, then why don't we start together?
Yes. Because at the end of the day, everything would evolve, right? Everything is fine as long the journey is absolutely. I mean, it's going to be great as long as you enjoy the company.
Right. So what problem you were? So I understood you mentioned you both found one problem, or even that problem where it stands now. But can I ask Neuropixel, what is .ai? What is the problem that the core problem, right, that you are trying to solve with your expertise and you both are trying to do?
Yeah, sure. So we primarily try to revolutionize the way the fashion cataloging works. So that's the broad idea. So you want to change the entire fashion cataloging thing. If you think about the fashion cataloging, right? If you go to Myntra or any fashion e-commerce website,
right.
You have apparels, and you see the certain models and all, which is kind of you see and all, right? If I go and all, it is like all same images should get displayed, right? So there is no personalization. Everything else is personalized, right? Because your everything is profiled and all, but not the images. So the most important part, and the conversion rate is also significantly higher for the images.
Right.
Now,
what you look,
if you do what you look, right? But this process is also very expensive, significantly expensive. Like for each apparel, you have to have a model, you have to have that apparel physically, you have to shoot it, you have to have a makeup artist, you have to have a camera, you have to have post editing. A significantly long, tedious process, right?
Right.
Now, then we started working on basically broadly on this so that we can revolutionize. We can basically see that how can tech improve this. Now, there are 2-3 things which we do. So one part is that the end-to-end workflow in the ideal this thing and all is like you should be able to generate your own catalog images with just the input of the apparel, nothing else. So you can generate, let's say, a completely synthetic human model, right, which basically caters to your target audience. So if, let's say, if it is for the European, this thing, it should be a European, it could be an Afro-American, it could be an Asian, it could be an Indian, whatever. You generate that.
I see.
You modify the attribute, you make them smile as you want, you have the skin tone as you want, right? You can do a face swap, all up to you. Then you have your apparel and you put that apparels onto them, which is again our proprietary working stack.
I see.
And then you have your final output, right? So this is one part. Also, so this is the broad thing. Now we have couple of use cases also, right? One of them is model swap, right? So basically you basically shoot once and then you change that person to any person that you would like to. It's like, for example, like you let's say shoot for Indian, one model which is from India, but you want to have a Southeast Asian. So you basically segment everything out, do a face swap, change the skin tone, make that person completely a Southeast Asian, or make the person completely Afro-American, or make the person completely European. So one shoot, you can theoretically generate infinite number of models from that, right?
Wow.
That's one thing. Second one is, of course, in that warping stack is a virtual try-on also. You can upload your own photo and see yourself in that apparel.
I have never seen this. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's virtual try-on, right? You see yourself, and so that's the highest level of personalization, right? You actually see yourself on that apparel.
Yes.
You understand? So you basically removing all the models, all the photography,
all the shoots, logistics, all those costs, everything you removed.
Yeah, fortunately, we have like right now we are having like more customers demand than we can serve. So now we are till now we are like on that research mode and all. Now we are on the kind of building the business out of it. So we understand this importance of scale now. So we are like at that
now
juncture.
You are scaling. Now you are capitalizing what you have already.
But we are also finding this how difficult it is to scale, because scale is very different. I was just reading this book by Bliss Scaling by Reid Hoffman. It's like scaling is a different ball game altogether. We are realizing it, we are learning it. That's the one part, right? Again, coming back to this. Now, from surviving cancer, for doing a research, from the entrepreneurial journey, that one thing which may be maybe in common, that at least I'm not bored. It has been very interesting.
हो सके तो इसकी स्माइल ना, अमृत की स्माइल रिवाइंड करके फिर से सुनना. ये स्माइल, ये खुशी, ये एक्सप्रेशंस, अरे बाबा तभी निकलते हैं जब आप सच में वो कंटेंटमेंट की फीलिंग में होते हो. ये मैथमेटिक्स को चाहने वाला लड़का जो कि आज फाउंडर है, अपनी एआई, मशीन लर्निंग, जो भी कहो, उसको पढ़ाते पढ़ाते, रिसर्च करते करते आज उसको अप्लाई कर रहा है. एंड ही इज़ एन्जॉइंग दिस फेज. कहता है मुझे कहीं, मतलब मैं कभी बोर ही नहीं हुआ. जो उसको पसंद है ना वो ढूंढ लेता है. मैं कोई पॉडकास्ट नहीं कर रहा हूँ. मैं अभी रात में जब ये एपिसोड एडिट कर रहा हूँ, आपके साथ बात कर रहा हूँ. आज शुक्रवार है, कल शनिवार को ये एपिसोड रिलीज़ होगा. एक कमिटमेंट है मेरे दिल से और आप लोगों से. कुछ वैल्यू ऐड होनी चाहिए ना आपकी ज़िंदगी में. जब मैं ऐसे गेस्ट से बात करता हूँ तो खुद तो इंस्पायर रहता हूँ, क्यों ना आपको करूँ. तो एक मैसेज है, खुद का एक मी टाइम निकालिए ये वीकेंड को, और कहीं जाइए, पूछिए अपने आप को मैं क्या चाहता हूँ. ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ है जो मैं हमेशा से चाहता हूँ कि मुझे वो करना है, लेकिन अभी तक शुरू नहीं कर पाया हूँ. करोगे? पूछोगे? अरे आपसे ही तो पूछना है, खुद से बातें करनी है. एक बार वो चीज़ मिल जाती है ना जिसमें मज़ा आता है, ऐसी ही स्माइल आप भी करोगे. बस इतना ही कहना था. आगे और भी है, सुनना मेरे साथ, जानना, कुछ सीख के जाना, वही तो जज्बा है. You always have purpose, you always have something to do which keeps you not like busy, but which keeps you productive, and which makes you feel, you know, you are doing something. Yeah.
Maybe sometimes. I see that. Yeah, unnecessarily adventurous also.
Even if you are put into unnecessary adventure, you still find your passion there as well.
True.
Of data point and AI/ML.
Yeah.
Just on that Neuropixel, right? What you just mentioned. I had seen your post where you went to IISC to talk about Stack, the OpenStack, the technologies what you use. If it's something which you can share, like this is just to inspire techie guys or someone who is not techie, but they think, so imagine I'll just try to connect someone's story. Maybe someone is there who is from IT background. She knows some IT, maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe Python, Node.js or anything, AI/ML is her passion. I'm just trying to build one customer persona of our podcast. And irrespective of age, I'm not sure. But then she just thinks that, I don't know, I'm not hard coder, I have not built anything. How, if she wants to start something in any area, how you approach, guide her, right, based on your experience, because you were on core academics area. Now she's just like normal pass out from college, 2 years she did something Python learning, just very basic. Now she thinks, I want to start something, I want to solve some problem. She doesn't know any problem as of now. She doesn't know coding that much.
Yeah, absolutely fine. I mean, I'm not sure. I can just share my experiences. Yeah. I'll first say this part and then I'll come to the stack that we are building. Okay? A little bit, as much as I can share.
Of course.
Arvind, my co-founder, he puts it in a very beautiful way. I think, and I completely agree with him. It's primarily the curiosity which defines it, right? You need to be curious enough, maybe in life, to do certain things and all. We were curious. We didn't know how is it to build a company. Before doing research, I didn't know how does it fit, what does it took to do research, right? And actually sometimes you do not know also, like, okay, that was not curious, that was not a choice. But some people also don't know how does it feel to go through a cancer surviving journey. Now, if you are curious, right, so it starts from there, right? Programming skills and all, to me is trivial. I never look for, when I recruit and all, of course we have, our research team is primarily IISC grads and IIT Kharagpur grads, both my alma maters. But I never ask kind of coding skills and all. I look for fundamental understandings of mathematics, and I try to see the attitude. Now once that is there, then everything else will come. Now particularly for this AI ML and all, and as I say, it's primarily IML. What we try to understand is try to understand how human brain functions. That's the broad idea of artificial intelligence, and we are significantly far from that. Now we want to understand it and mathematically model it. So it's more of a
Correct.
It requires a mathematical mindset. So it's primarily, if you break this, so there are broadly 3 pillars. One is of course optimization, convex and non-convex, and another part is of course probability theory. And there is of course significant amount of work in signal processing, statistical learning theory, etc., etc. So, but again, if you are curious, then you start exploring, and we have these examples, like some of the workflows which are very innovative to us, very recent to us, has been discovered by our creative head, not by the researchers. Then you will put effort, then you will go through everything. And there are a lot of courseware, open courseware available. There are a lot of openly available materials and all. More than can be read actually, but that's fine. It's not. That's not that. Coming to the tech stack, right, which we are building. So we broadly work on the synthetic model generations and attribute modifications. And this area we broadly work on the entire spectrum of the generative models. We call it deep generative models, right? Which primarily starts with Gaussian mixture models. We don't work much in the Gaussian mixture model, but then autoencoder, variational autoencoder. Then we have, of course, GANs, and now we are seeing these score-based diffusion networks. So we work in the entire this spectrum. So we started working with VAEs and GANs, and then we are of course now exploring score-based diffusion architectures, right? So this is one area. And the warping stack, the apparel warping stack, there we work with spatial transformation network and optical flow network, because we try to understand primarily like the pixels from the input apparel get reassigned to the target model once warped, which is primarily based on its volumetric information, which is a function of shape, size and pose. So yeah, so these are the broad 2 areas where we work on.
Imagine, that Neuropixel or wherever you are, right? It's more about your journey you are telling, and it's pack auditorium, right? It's a very big auditorium. For example, you want to share something about how people can grow, or what is the purpose people should live with, how they can find their own purpose from your own perspective. Those key message which should live with them when they leave the auditorium. When you are telling the speech, people should leave the auditorium and people should live their own life as well, with that message.
At IISC, we have a very beautiful swimming pool, right? So when I was just recovering from the treatment, so it was very enjoying moment for me to be able to walk, to be able to swim, and I like swimming, cycling, running and all. So I still remember this particular moment. I was actually swimming in the pool. It was like 1:30 or 2 p.m. So there was no one. It's like beautiful pool, and I was swimming, and it's like full kind of covered by trees and all, and no one there. There was no one. There was just pin drop, even not the. So I was just swimming, and there was a very sunny day, beautiful sun. I was just alone, and no one else. Just the sound of water and the wind and the birds and all. So I was just thinking normally. So we live in the past, right? We think what have been, what has kind of gone, what has gone through, and all those things, and we introspect. Or we think about the future, right? But in that process, we don't enjoy living in the moments. So, and that's very important. Like enjoying the moments, and blessed we are, if not anything else, just to be alive, to enjoy this life, which has kind of been gifted to us. Just enjoy this life, just enjoy this moment, just be blessed to be able to walk, to be able to live in this beautiful earth. Of course, to make it beautiful is of course our responsibilities and all, but that's different. Just to have that, and that's all. That's what is very, very important. To, at the end of the day, whatever we do, it could be research, it could be entrepreneurial journey, it could be work, it could be anything, right? There are 3 moments which actually defines me what I am today. 3 things, which is not this thing, Ph.D. and all. It's primarily, one is, of course, the cancer survival, because it teaches the hard facts about life. One is starting up, because it also teaches the end-to-end thing of building something. And of course the birth of my son. Right? Now, the whole part of it is, everything is important as long as you enjoy it, and everything is worthless if you do not enjoy it.
I see your point, what you just mentioned beautifully. Just enjoy in all your phases, whatever you do, wherever you are.
Yeah.
If you are not, just, purpose will keep changing.
Yeah.
Just keep finding your purpose. Whatever you enjoy.
It's a continuous search.
It's a continuous process.
Search. Its purpose is, it can be from birth to birth.
Right.
You do not know.
Right.
It's from birth to birth. So it's not that, but whether I am trying to ask that question, asking the question is very important. That's what the curiosity again comes from. The whole curiosity is basically, it's all curiosity, right? Why do I exist? What is the purpose? What should I do? So they're all the questions and all, right? Go back to the fundamentals. Ask questions. Be honest. Be transparent, right? And one other last part, maybe it is okay to be an outlier. You need not be kind of, the society and all would sometimes tries to put everyone in that kind of central tendency of in the distribution. But there would be and it's always sometimes it's difficult to be an outlier, but it's okay to be an outlier, and it's okay to be stand far from the crowd. It's okay. Yeah, you should be peace with yourself with that.
Loved it. Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because you don't live for society, you don't live for anyone, so you just live for yourself.
Yes. And I'll just move back. I really like that idea. Don't be courageous sometime to be outlier as well, right? Whichever gives you peace, because those are your values. You do not need to modify yourself with society influences the typical track in whatever values. One last question now, maybe I'm coming to you, is you have been researcher. That's what I can see. You are a scientist. That's what I can see. Everywhere in all your life phases, you did that way. So, from your own terms, right? Maybe you answered that question earlier. What defines researcher or what defines scientist? What you are living already, right? You are doing that. So, what are the characteristics or traits from your perspective of being researcher?
Great question. Again, first curiosity. Second curiosity, third is curiosity.
Nice.
Nothing
Loved
else.
it.
Nothing else. Yeah, nothing else. Of course, there is hard work, there is resilience, there is rigor. All those things are there. But it all happens when you are curious.
I love the answer. I have never read, never heard from anyone. Awesome.
Oh, I think it was great. It was great experience to open my heart. It was great to open my heart. You made me open my heart. I had a long conversation after such a long time. Yeah, thank you for pushing me.
No man, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's what
Okay.
that's what my purpose as of now. It's not like randomly talking with anyone and just passing the time on OTT platform or social media. I thought if I want to speak something, maybe if I'm a little bit good at listening, let me develop those skills, and maybe by doing that I would learn something from someone. Otherwise I would not be talking, or I would not be knowing about Amritendu Mukherjee. So now I know him.
Yeah.
And
You just call me Amrit. Yeah, it's like Amrit, very formal.
awesome. So yeah, finally we are at the end. And yes, discover yourself, discover your purpose. Put it in comment wherever you are listening, on whichever platform. Just announce in this podcast, under this episode, put it, what is it that you learned? I am going to keep on adding this kind of episodes, this normal, very warm, down to earth guest like Amrit. See you again. Goodbye, my dear listeners. Tata.